Welcome everyone. Sorry for the slight delay. I have had quite some trouble of connection. And welcome to the fourth day of this English week. Today we're going to have, like yesterday, two conferences. One will be about cybersecurity, and the other one about location engineering. So to begin, we are going to have a talk from Hippolyte Quéré, who is a student from OSINT and who is also a former student at YUT of Vannes. So he's going to talk to you about cyber threat intelligence investigation and cloud-based scrapping. So welcome. All right, problem fixed. So I'm going to mute myself and have a good conference.
Yes. Thank you for having me. Yes, as you said, we're gonna talk about cyber threat intelligence investigation and cloud-based web scraping. So, to begin with, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Hippolyte Quéré. You can find me on the internet as Hippie. So, I'm a cybersecurity student at ESEP actually, and a former IT student from the IUT of Vannes. I'm also a CTF player in the Ragondar team, and you can find me on my website or on Twitter. So we will see in the first part some OSINT explanation. Then we will investigate an online storage website, and we'll finish with some fun with web. What is OSINT? OSINT is more and more used in our everyday life, like your recruiter are using OSINT, government are also using OSINT techniques. So OSINT stands for Open Source Intelligence. It's derived from data and information that are available to the general public. It's not only limited to information that you can find with Google and the so-called surface web. So I'm not going to talk too much about OSINT because we will not have that time, and I think that the web scraping part is really interesting. I will be releasing an OSINT article linked to this presentation later on my website. You will find every detail from this investigation if you want more information. We'll start with a quick story. So a few months ago, I needed to send a huge file to one of my friends. And one thing is that I care about my data, even if that file wasn't that important. I didn't want it to use Google Drive or WeTransfer, etc. So I had some needs. I needed to send a huge file. It was like a 17 gigabyte file, so quite big file, without registration if it's possible, because it's cool. So as I said, I care about my personal data, so I don't want to host them in a GAFAM. And if it's free, it's better. I know that's a lot of things that I'm asking. Normally you can't find that, but it appears that you can. Here is a website that I found. This website is called analyse.com. So it's claiming four things: that it's free, okay, perfect. Anonymous, that's a big red flag for me because nowadays you can't really be anonymous. I'll talk about it a bit later. That you can upload up to 20 gigabyte file, so that's perfect for my need, and with unlimited bandwidth. Mind blowing. I didn't thought that a website like that could exist, but we will quickly analyze the website and see the different pages of the website because it's important to read about the things that you are hosting. So in the term of use, the first rule is that it's strictly forbidden to spread viruses, trojans, corrupt and or illegal material via unknown files. Okay, interesting fact. that's a basic one. Availability, they cannot guarantee full availability of the service. That's totally comprehensible. They are logging downloads. Okay, no, they are not logging downloads. So they claim that they are a strong advocate of privacy and do not log downloads. So this fact is really interesting because in, I think, every country, you've got to log the persons that are using your service. For example, if a problem occurs, the state will investigate about your service. So you have to give them at least IP addresses to show that it's not your fault, that someone misused your hosting website, for example, and uh, and that's an obligation. Even, for example, Proton Mail, they had issues with that. So now they say that they are logging every IP, and that's normal of the persons that are connecting to their website. Administrative measures, so they claim that they can remove or ban files that are inappropriate. That's totally normal. And this user agreement can change. Okay. So this next page is API. They've got an API documentation, interesting. So you can upload files and you can also look for files by using the API. So one thing they are saying is that you need an API key by creating an account on the website. That's not true, or I didn't find it because I uploaded files and I retrieved file without using an API key. Quite strange. Okay. Frequently asked question. So, mm, how long will my files be online? For as long as possible. So why is this case interesting? That's not a random website because when I found this website, I remembered that a few years ago I already hosted a file on that website. It was like 4 years ago, and that file was still there. So I had the link and I could still download it. That's interesting because it's not a website coming from nowhere, hosting data for a month and vanishing in nature. So that's a really interesting fact. And in my OSINT investigation, I also found files from 11 or 10 years ago that were still working and that you can still download. You have some limit upload. You can upload up to 20 gig per file or max 500 files or 50 gig per hour or 5,000 files or 100 gig per day. I try to upload more than 50 gig per hour, like 80 gig. I didn't add any restriction. So I don't know why they're claiming that, but maybe that's true. I don't know why I didn't add that problem. And one other interesting thing is that for the moment, the pages that we saw, there are no information about the person running this website. No way to contact them. So the only way to contact them is with the feedback or report abuse page. But when you're going to this page, there are no email, no company name, no company address, nothing. You can find nothing on this website. We'll make a quick pause here from the website to talk about web scraping. So web scraping is the automation of extracting data from different websites. I'd like to thank my friend Podarius who helped me on that topic, especially on the legal part. Before we're going deeper in web scraping, let's have a little legal disclaimer because web scraping is really borderline. It depends on how you use it. So these legal disclaimer are only for friends. So the first fact is that it's legal as long as it is public information without personal data. So without personal data, because of the GDPR, so that are protecting personal data, of course, you can't resell the data that you scrap because of copyright infringement of original data. Even if in reality it's possible to resell this data, but it's complicated, I will not go into too much details. And there are many special cases. So I strongly advise you before going into web scraping to take some legal advice online or to ask a person to help you because there are a lot of special cases and it's evolving every day. Ethical web scraping, so you can be a web scraper and be ethical, of course. If APIs are available, like we saw on the website of Analyse, use their API because it's often the best solution. It will not create any denial traffic on the website, and it's really better for them. Please respect the robot.txt files. If they specify that bots are not allowed to go to a certain URL, don't go there. Read the terms and condition, of course, that's what we've done before. Important, identify yourself with a user agent. So if, for example, you've put your email address in your user agent, the person running the website is having a lot of requests, he can see your email address and then just contact you to ask you about what you're doing, and if he needs you to stop, it can just simply ask you and the problem is solved. And respect the data, so scrap data is available and public on the web, but personal data are stored securely and in accordance with best practices. So please do not sell them or share them with third parties. So now that we've run into the legal aspect, we will begin the scrap. So when you upload a file on Anon Files, something interesting is that it's giving you a link. So the link looks like that. You've got the name of your file at the end of that link. And before the name of your link, you will have a 10-digit, 10 characters token that can contain uppercase, lowercase, and numbers. So when you see that, I think you're thinking the same thing as me. Why don't I try to brute force every possible URL and find every possible file on the website? But before that, let's run some calculation to know how long will it take and if it's possible. So to be easily readable, I've just taken the three first letter of the URL, the three first character, but all these possibilities are for only one character of the URL. So it can be either an uppercase letter, so like the T here. So you've got 26 possibilities from the alphabet. It can also be a number from 0 to 9, so you have 10 possibilities, or it can be either a lowercase letter, so you've got also 26 possibilities. So all these possibilities are for just one digit, one character. So if you make the calculation, 26 plus 10 plus 26 equals 62, but that's for one character, and we've got 10 characters in our URL. So we need to take 62 to the power of 10 to have the number of combination. It's giving us this number, so 8.39 that you multiply to 10 to the power of 17. That's a really big number, but can we just generate all this combination? So I made a tiny script in Python to have a guess and to know if it's possible. So here we have our size. So this is this number, and this is the number that we saw just previously. Now that we know that, I tried to generate 100 million URL with a Python script. It took me 22.10 seconds. Um, if you take that number and you take the number of seconds that it took me for 100 million, and you can estimate the number of seconds that it will take me to generate every single combination. That's this number in seconds, this number in days. So that's approximately 500 and 5,600 years. That's a lot. We don't have that time. And I must precise that I use only a single thread in Python. So if we just it can be more efficient, but it will take forever. And this is only to generate every possible combination. After that, we have to try every combination. So just imagine if we try all this big number of requests on the website, I think we will easily do a denial of service, and that's not what we want to do. So I had to think to another approach. Do you remember that I talked about OSINT? So one really useful thing in OSINT is to search with Google, but you can make advanced search. So like here, I precise with the keyword site that I only wanted a result from the website anonfiles.com, and I added the wildcard, so that's any subdomain. And you can make a lot of advanced search like that. It's called docking. And for example, you can also precise a file type if you want only to find every executable file, etc. So this research found me 139,000 results. So that's the number of results that Google scrapped from anonfiles.com. Another interesting thing here is that in our URL, we've got CDN-104. So what does CDN means? Mm, CDN stands for Content Delivery Network. So these are virtual network, and they are used more often to have some load balancing on a website. So if you have too many users going to your website, you load balance them by having a virtual network. So with my research, I found 150 CDN for Anon files. I don't know if you can see what it represents, but it's huge. So it can give you an idea of the size of the website. So now that we know how to make one search, let's just automate that and scrap all the results from Google. Well, yes, but no. So Google told me here are the results you're looking for, but that's not that easy, of course. I will explain it to you right now. You have some point to avoid. The first thing, if you want to scrap Google result, is that you need to bypass the request rate based on your user agent, your language, your country, keyword, etc. I didn't put all the requested information. You can also be IP banned, so you need proxies or you need to have IDs. You need also to bypass captchas to handle all kind of weird error from blocked website, all kind of exotic error. And changes can happen in the detection system from Google. And this list is non-exhaustive. It's a really tiny list. You've got so much things that you have to avoid. But if you can do that, you can scrap every result. So I started my scrap. I wanted to all holidays, but I found that I had 429 error. So what does it mean? It means that you are making too many request to a website. That's really annoying because you're temporarily banned from that website. So what can you do about that? You can increase the delay between your request, but it will take forever to scrap 140,000 nearly result from Google. Just I forget a thing about the legal part of that. So Google claim is in the term of service that you can't, it's illegal to scrap them, but it's kind of a blur because they never pursue anyone to from scrapping their web engine, and that's why their search engine, and that's why they are putting a lot of rules to make it harder to do it, just to that people don't do it, but they are not pursuing people. So let's continue with that 429 error. I didn't decide so to increase the delay between my requests because it would take too much time, too many time. I thought about that. So it's a master slave engine. So on the left part, you will have my computer. So this code is running locally. I've got a master with a job to do. He will send the job to my slave. My slave will be in Google Cloud. So I have, by using Google Cloud, I have a Google IP. So I will less often flagged as scrapping because I've got the same IP as them. And I created that slave with a Flask API. So I'm making requests to send my job to the slave in the cloud. The API will start a check process to run the scrapper, and the scrapper will scrap the data. When my scrapper is flagged as making too many requests, as the 429 error, it will give back the state to the master that the slave was discovered, and store the data to a Google Cloud bucket in order to keep all the results that I found. And when it's giving the state to my master that it got flagged, I can just kill him. Okay, I'm a bit bad by doing that, but yes, I will kill him and launch a new slave in the cloud in order to replace it. It will have a new IP, and it will scrap again and continue the work of the previous slave. So let's have a quick demonstration. On the left side, you have my master that is running locally, and on the right side, you will have my Google Cloud Engine logs. So in order to have this log, I just tailed the log from Google Cloud. And so I'm launching the master. Here the number is the index to start from the crawling. So I'm starting from the result number 0. You can see the job that I'm sending the job to the slave with the job that is site.anonfiles.com. So I'm looking for every file referring to that site and sending it to the cloud by doing a request on my Flask API. So on the right side, my worker will begin its work. We can see that the slave is busy now. We have the state of the slave. It's starting to work. So we have the first results that are coming. I blurred the result because a lot of that result are really links that you don't want to go to. And it's beginning to scrap, so I will have every result coming. And I'm still getting every second the state of my slave. So if the slave is flagged, it will kill it and create a new one. Just to examine the results that we are having, the index is the index where it started from. When the slave is flagged, it will give a new index to the master, so the master knows where the job ended and to send the new information to the new slave. we have the URL of the website that we found. I just added X for the URL so that you can't see the URL, but it's only for the demonstration. And you have the name of the file and the size of the file. We can also see that you have some websites that are unreachable. This is the part when I talked about the different strange errors that you have to bypass. And to be even more to have Google even less suspicious, I've added a user agent as Googlebot, so but instead it was my scrapper. So I could more results without being flagged. Here is an example of data result that I found. So as I said before, I strongly advise you not to go to search this link because most of them are illegal, and that's not the worst part. In most of these links, you have really bad viruses, so don't go there. But so this is an extract of the results that I had from the bucket. So when I download the bucket at the end of the process, I can have every link with the different size of the files. I'm storing every file size because I want to estimate the size of the infrastructure and to estimate the cost of running such a complex hosting service. And one thing that I need to also highlight is that this service is 100% free. Even if you log in or register, you can't buy anything from Anon Files. So you really don't know how they make money. Um, I had a big problem during my scraping time. I was stuck on a result, this kind of result that was lemondatabase.org slash an ID. And I didn't understand why, because as you saw before, I'm doing a custom Google search to have only a website from Anon Files. But after hours of struggling, I found out that Google is lying to you. In fact, when it's showing that they've got 140,000 results, you can't see every result. You will like see, you will be able to see like 4 results, and so that Google is saying that it's okay for you. The other results are not what you're looking for, so you can't really see every Google result. So I have a future improvement list because I didn't finish my investigation on that part. I will create a job list with multiple print-generated docs. So the purpose of this implementation is to be able to bypass the number of results that Google is giving you. If I have a lot of jobs with different doc, for example, if I can have 500 results per job, I will generate every possible result in order to get all the possible results from Google. I will also try to handle multiple slaves. So for the moment, I'm deploying one slave at a time. But if I can deploy and manage multiple slaves, it will go much faster. And the data visualization of my result will be a really good thing because I'm starting to have a lot of results. So to be able to visualize it, it can be really interesting. To conclude, I didn't find the answers that I was looking for yet, but as you saw, I'm not done with this investigation, and I will continue to develop my researches. I hope I raised at least awareness about things that you can find online and that are free, and that you learned something about from my talk about how to conduct a simple investigation and with this new web scraping technique. So thank you for listening. Do you have any question?
All right, thank you very much for your conference. If you have any question, please ask them in the chat. And if you cannot think of any right now, you can always ask them on the Discord server that we set up for the English week. Seems like it was a very clear conference. Since
Okay, perfect. Well,
right.
thank you.
Thank you for being here and thank you for presenting your work to us. Alright, well, we still have one conference for the end of the day. It will be going in around 15 minutes, so please stand by, and it will be quite a great conference, so do not miss it. I'm just going to put the waiting screen, and you can enjoy the beautiful music that was made by Simon that you can find as next on the server, so please check him out.